Hello, tea friends. Today we're going to be brewing a new addition to our collection, another Vietnamese Pu-erh. As all the good things and all the bad things, everything sooner or later comes to an end, and so did our previous Vietnamese Pu-erh that was called Summit. And since we really like Vietnamese teas and we want to introduce more of them to our customers and to our tea friends, we decided to find a replacement for it. And we found this Sheng that is called Northern Swallow, Bak Yen Sheng made of gushu material. And it comes from Son La province in Vietnam. It's a northern province, and the exact region is Bac Yen, that can be loosely translated as northern swallow. And we're gonna be trying this tea today with you to see what the taste notes are. And this tea just arrived. We tried a sample before, but just to refresh our memory, we're gonna try a piece of this batch to make sure that this is indeed what we ordered. So let me tell you a little bit more about this tea. As I said, it's made of gushu material, all trees, naturally grown, wild, that's been growing there for hundreds of years. Nobody knows the exact age of the trees because nobody, it's just naturally growing forest. And it's a very young Shenpuer. It was harvested in early March of 2023, so a year ago. So we expect some pleasant bitterness that transforms into the sweet finish, sweet aftertaste called in Chinese hui gan. And it's a high mountain tea. Son La, it means son in Vietnamese means mountain, and La is the name of the mountain. So these trees are growing at the elevation of about 1800 meters above the sea level. And we saw the photos from that region. It's very beautiful. Like if you're standing, like on top of the mountains, you can see fog and clouds beneath you. So I've been to not that exact area, but to the area like the nearby. It's really really beautiful. The atmosphere, the environment is really gorgeous. So let's see how it transforms into this tea, and let's see what it tastes like. So let me heat up my kettle. So for brewing this tea, we're gonna be using porcelain teaware, as we always prefer to do, in order to establish the true, so to say, taste of tea, because porcelain doesn't impart the taste. And the ratio that we're gonna be using is 1 gram to 20 milliliters of tea. So I'm using 90 milliliters Gaiwan, and for that I'm gonna be using roughly 4.5 grams of tea. So let's start with preheating Gaiwan. And this is the tea that we're going to be brewing. I cannot say that the dry leaves give a lot of aroma, but let's see what they're gonna be smelling like when preheated, warmed up a little. So now that Gaiwan is hot, we can place the tea inside of the Gaiwan to warm it up. to prepare it for brewing. So now I feel the aroma of the tea that is warmed up, and it gives like a very pleasant, I would call it like fresh alpine scent. It's not fruity yet. You can feel the fruity notes on the background, but they're not prevailing. But the fresh, like mountain feel to it. Very pleasant aroma. And this is gonna be our rinse. I'm pouring water directly on leaves because this is a compressed tea, and we're gonna discard it right away. So this is the rinse, and the way I prefer to treat the rinse, not to waste it completely, I prefer to rinse my mouth with it in order to prepare my palate for the actual taste of tea. So even though we're not gonna be like drinking it and evaluating it, I still prefer to take at least like a sip, to wash off, to refresh my palate. Once again, we're pouring water directly at the leaves in order to break them up a little, to open them up, to give them some force. And the steepings are very short. We don't want to overbrew it, especially on the first steeping. The color of the brew, as you can see, is very, very light because, as we said earlier, it's a young Pu-erh, so we don't expect it to be any darker than this. Let's feed our tea pad a little. And let's wait for the tea to cool off. So when the tea is too hot, first of all, of course, you're risking burning your tongue and your mouth. So you don't want to drink it, straight away. And also, because it's too hot, you will not be able to pick up all the intricacies of the tea. So your tongue, will not be able to pick all the notes. You should wait for the tea to cool off substantially. Scientists say that the optimal temperature is around 65 degrees. For my taste, it's a bit, too cold, and no one has patience to wait for this long for the tea to cool off. But of course, you should wait it to cool off so you can drink it comfortably without burning tongue, in order to get the full spectrum of what the tea tastes like. So even from the first sips, I can feel the bitterness of young Sheng, not too powerful, like pleasant bitterness and astringency, and all of it transforms to Huigan right away. As it goes down your throat, it immediately transforms into sweetness. Neither overpowering because this is just the first brew, you can already pick some fruity and woody notes. Very nice, I liking it already. So let's warm up the water once again. And let's get to the second infusion. I will give it a short steeping once again. Don't want to overbrew it. I can tell that this tea is probably easy to overbrew, so we shouldn't push it, too much, at least not, like at the beginning, probably on the later brews, but right now just short steepings are substantial, is enough to give out the taste. I can already feel the finish of the tea. It's mouth watering. Like right now my mouth is full of saliva because of the first infusion that we had. It's pretty sharp. I can feel like floral notes, like orchid notes. Very bright. I would say that this tea probably has good aging potential based on the bitterness and astringency that has potential to transform into sweetness, with some years. So on the second infusion, taste intensified, but I cannot say that it went through lots of like transformation. So let's see what the third infusion will bring us, and we'll probably do an even shorter uh, infusion this time. As you can see, the brew doesn't get much darker. The color is pretty much persistent. More floral note became more apparent. A little bit of fruitiness in the aroma starting to appear. The sweet finish is intensifying. And I can already feel the energy coming from this tea. Like my body gets hot. And I feel energized already. Like at this moment, I have a lot of saliva in my mouth. Yes, I would say that predominant notes of this tea are floral with some fruitiness on the background. Overall, the taste is very bright with plenty of bitterness that transforms into huigan with like pleasant astringency. That the astringency that doesn't stay in there in the finish. In the finish, it's like on the contrary, it's very mouth watering. So like when you drink it, you feel the astringency at first, but then it transforms into like mouth watering sensation. I'll have another cup of this brew. I think that one of the main qualities of this tea is the freshness. Um, let's give it one more steeping, because I can already tell that the chi of this tea is a strong one. So it's good to start your day. Probably not good choice for late evening because you probably won't fall asleep after this one. And for this one, I'll give it a little more gentle brew. Still doesn't require long infusion because there is plenty of substance coming out from this tea, even from the short steepings. Color is very persistent. It was of pretty much this shade from the first brew, and this is the fourth one plus the rinse. The aroma just intensifies with every brew. The alpine freshness is the main character. You can feel like the evergreens. Very clean taste. Very, very clean. I wonder what this tea will taste like in like 5, 6, 7 years from now. I will probably keep one cake just for myself to see how it's aging. So we have only limited amount of this tea. Don't know if we'll be able to replenish it later on. We got it just to see how it goes with our tea friends first. So if you're curious, don't miss the opportunity. Get this tea and sign up to our newsletter uh, to stay updated about our new arrivals and new additions to our tea collection. And we hope that you will enjoy this tea. Cheers.